An election in the U.S. state of Wisconsin has become a referendum on Elon Musk, the billionaire playing a major role in President Trump's efforts to resize the federal government. Musk is backing a Republican in a race for a seat on Wisconsin's divided 9-member Supreme Court. Groups he funds are expected to back Brad Schimel with some $20 million in the vote, which is scheduled for April 1st. Meanwhile, big money help for Democrat Susan Crawford has come from the likes of billionaire George Soros, more than leveling the playing field with millions for her campaign. And joining me now is political science professor emeritus Moredecai Lee from the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Professor, it's good to have you on the program. What's it like living in the state of Wisconsin this week?
Brent, I got to tell you, it's really awful. And I like politics. You know, they're spending close to $100 million for a state that has only 6 million people. And next week on Tuesday, maybe 2 million people will vote, 2.5 million. So imagine how much money is being aimed at those 2 or 2.5 million people. You can't turn on commercial TV in Wisconsin and not see back-to-back ads. Yeah. Either from the candidates or from independent spending groups. On my phone, I've been getting robocalls, maybe 15 or 20 a day, some of them pretending to be surveys, some of them pretending to just ask me if I voted yet. Between texts and robocalls, that's all I'm getting. So everybody in Wisconsin can't wait until Tuesday is over.
Well, do we know how and why Elon Musk got himself involved in this race?
I think he's enjoying politics, and he's enjoying sort of the juice of winning because he's a very competitive guy coming out of the private sector. And I think that it's not just if Tesla can sell cars in Wisconsin. It has to do with a very obscure state law about car dealers. But I think he's just so signed on to the Trump campaign and the Trump presidency that he knows how the results on Tuesday are going to be interpreted. I think pretty sure they're going to be interpreted as a referendum on President Trump's record so far. Mm-hmm. And so I think he wants to be sure that Trump gets that sort of win by proxy.
And am I correct in saying that Musk's involvement then prompted some very wealthy Democrats to jump in as well? Is that correct?
I think it was slightly different, that there were some wealthy Republicans and Democratic donors about at the same sort of level of donations. And then Musk came in, and I guess he's dumped about $15 or $20 million into the Wisconsin campaign. And that indeed, as you described it, really triggered some of the big donors of Democrats to try to match it. But they really haven't matched it, and I can't imagine they'll be able to do so. We're talking about big amounts of money. Big
amounts of money. And, you know, you said that this vote is being seen as maybe a referendum on President Trump so far. Well, let me ask you, perhaps this is a referendum on Elon Musk. Is that possible?
I think it's very possible. You know, the two of them have sort of become a merged political identity. And there's no doubt that in Wisconsin, there are some people who love Trump and love Musk, and there are some people who hate Trump and hate Musk. And it's very hard to interpret sort of public sentiment as in terms of who's going to prevail. After all, President Trump won Wisconsin in November by 29,000 votes out of 3.25 million cast, not even by 1%. So that gives you a sense how close politically Wisconsin is as a battleground state, and why the results on Tuesday could go either way easily.
And could we say that this election could serve as a bellwether for how midterm elections could possibly go? I mean, that has to be important for the president.
There's no doubt that Wisconsin, because of this election, has become a kind of a test tube of American politics. It's the very first time that a large number of voters in a battleground state are going to tell us how they feel about President Trump and Musk, how they feel about the various issues that are associated with the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. Now, whether this will translate to the midterm elections, after all, we're talking about nearly 18 months here. And in American politics, 18 months is an eternity. By then, I'm sure that the impact of tariffs will be felt much more discernibly, and some of the other policies of the president. So Tuesday's vote in Wisconsin may or may not be an indicator of the future.
Yeah, let me just ask you, whether there's a Democratic, 5-4 majority or a Republican 5-4 majority on the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Is it possible for it to have an effect on the direction not only of Wisconsin, but of the whole country?
There's no doubt about it, because when you've got such an ideological split, let's say on the issue of abortion, generally speaking, the Democratic Party is pro-choice, and generally speaking, the Republican Party is pro-life. So if the majority flips from, let's say, Democratic majority to Republican majority, then one can make a prediction that we'll be seeing pro-life decisions out of the new Supreme Court. If, on the other hand, on Tuesday, the de facto Democratic candidate wins and retains the Democratic majority on the Supreme Court, then we'll be seeing pro-choice decisions. So these are not abstract issues of legalisms or judicial philosophy. These are very concrete issues, not just abortion, but union bargaining rights and things like that.
Professor Emeritus Moredecai Lee from the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Professor, we appreciate your time and your valuable insights, and please send our best to the good people of Wisconsin.
Thank you very much. Nice to talk to you.